Welcome back to Corporate Fuckery, stories of survival, psychological warfare, and choosing what's best for you. I am your host, Lauren DeGolia. This season is for the women who finally clocked the truth. Corporate loyalty is optional. Self-abandonment, not a requirement. And being good has never been a growth strategy. Season 3 is going to dismantle outdated corporate myths, expose the unspoken rules, and hand you a new operating system. The one where you advocate, negotiate, and opt out with precision without losing your job or your shit, meaning less hustle and propaganda and more strategic sovereignty. And we're opening with someone who doesn't just whisper the truth, she posts it in the boldest, most delicious font you could ever imagine. Lynda Harvey, also known as Lynda Leads online, is the corporate baddie your inner people pleaser has been warned about. She built and scaled high-performing teams, led cross-functional decision-making at an executive level, and knows exactly how customer service, internal politics, and power dynamics actually work. Not theoretically, but practically. And her edge? She doesn't just romanticize work. She operationalizes self-advocacy. Lynda is known for her fast, no-nonsense truth bombs that remind you that your company is not your family, it's a business. Being likable doesn't pay your bills, and excellence without leverage is just unpaid labor without the LinkedIn badge. Her content is direct, high contrast, and unapologetically focused on getting paid, getting credit, and getting out of a situation that no longer serves you. This conversation is going to set the tone for the entire season. Clear eyes, clean boundaries, and new rules. Welcome to season 3. Welcome, Lynda. I am so glad you're here. If you've been waiting for permission, you're already late.
Yes. Wow. Thank you. That was quite an intro. I feel very good.
I know. I mean, that's what I do for all of my guests.
I just feel, well, we're going to pretend that it was just for me. And I feel,
But it's the gift of being on my show.
yes, and it is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
This has been such a gift. So for maybe the people who don't know, like normally these are done remotely.
Normally, these are done on Riverside, depending on where my guests are in the world.
Yes.
Lynda has flown to Seattle for the day. Literally the day. She's like, hey, girl, I want to come to Seattle. I'm like, okay, let me see if I can find a podcasting booth.
Yeah.
Here we are on First Avenue, like steps away from the Space Needle. Lynda has never been here before. We just had the most delicious lunch.
So
We talked about all the things, social media strategy and life changing. And I mean, let's be clear, like money, because money is a big thing that keeps many, many women from making what they want and having what they desire. And now we're going to record the most delicious podcast
I'm so
episode to
excited.
kick off season 3.
I'm so excited and I feel so flattered that we are doing this, the first episode of season 3. I think you said it was episode 21, which is a number that's near and dear to my heart because that is the day of my birth.
Mhm.
So,
And Lynda is a self-proclaimed Libra. Like she loves that part about herself.
well, I don't know that I'm self-proclaimed. I think that's factual.
It is factual, but you also kind of love that part of yourself.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't. And I do think it's probably one of those things. I think so often with women, we find a way to be dismissive,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think anyone who's spent any time with me knows that I'm very tongue in cheek. I'm very dry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I learned early on in life to be self-deprecating,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's probably more of a crutch than I'd like to admit, but today we're telling truth bombs, so it's probably more of a crutch than I'd like to admit that I utilize it to justify certain behaviors.
Isn't that interesting that you would to start with that? Because that was one thing about astrology that I absolutely loved when I got started down this whole path of self-discovery and what am I about and how does energy and characteristics and all that jazz work, because I learned esoteric astrology, which is more psychology based. And what I figured out on the tail end as I got into the subconscious mind work that I do is when we put ourselves in all the boxes of all the things, we actually keep ourselves in all the boxes of all the things.
Yep.
And that truth bomb to begin this episode with is really powerful because we're going to be talking about what today? I'll let you introduce the topic because you were like, Lauren, we got to talk about this.
Well, I think it's really important for us to talk about imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I first started my company and my business, I printed up a shirt that says drop the impost-her
Mm-hmm.
because although imposter syndrome affects all genders, it does tend to affect women more,
It does.
especially women in high performing or higher positions of
Yes.
power, right? And then we could really even dive deeper into marginalized women, right?
Yes.
LGBTQ plus,
Yes.
people who are falling in that area. And so I was just like, when you were talking about what you wanted to talk about, I think it's so important to talk about imposter syndrome and talk about what number one is it? What does it look and feel like? But also like what do we do to combat it,
Mhm.
right? Or in your words, what are the new rules,
Yeah.
right? So I'm excited that we're talking about imposter syndrome today.
And I think back to a lot of the clients that I've worked with, the people that I have collaborated with over my corporate career, and how many of us think that like lightning doesn't strike twice,
Yep.
that our success is like a one-time thing that won't come back around again.
Mhm.
And we immediately undermine, as a result, every inch that we took to get to where we wanted to go, thinking that we wouldn't create what we really want along the way.
Yep.
And that at any moment, the rug can be ripped out
Yes.
from under us, and that it really can go away without us even blinking.
Mhm.
And when I left my Nordstrom career in 2019, and I've said this a couple times throughout the episode, it's like I thought I shit the bed of life. I felt like the ultimate imposter because I worked my ass off.
Mhm.
I got myself to a certain level of success, and I was like, I'm never going to be able to recreate this again.
Yep.
And so give us your perspective on imposter syndrome, how you've experienced, lay the landscape so our executives, leaders, managers, influencers of corporate life
Yeah.
can think differently about imposter syndrome.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm going on the record saying I am not a mental health professional. So
Good to know.
this is entertainment purposes only. I just stamp that out there. So first and foremost, I think it's really important for people to understand that imposter syndrome is not a permanent affliction, although sometimes it does feel like it. It's not a permanent affliction, and it is not categorized as an actual syndrome or mental health diagnosable
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell those are technical terms. But it's really important for people to understand that this is a feeling or this is something that can affect you, and it can affect you short term, long term. You can be in the best headspace of your life and really, really well and still have these moments. And really, it's these moments of feeling like I'm a fraud,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a feeling of I'm a fraud. And the reason it's so important to talk about at work is it affects us the most at work, right? So, imposter syndrome is this feeling of, what am I doing here? They're going to know that I'm a fraud or that I am a fraud, or there are ways that it shows up where it's, oh, I'm just lucky. Again, to that self-deprecating
Yeah.
moment of, oh, I'm just lucky, or I was in the right
Yeah.
place at the
Someone
right
picked me
time.
at the right time. Yep.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And it hits women really hard again because we are still in such a male-dominated field,
Mm-hmm.
and that's work. Work is a male-dominated field.
And that is the system known as corporate America.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we're here to change that because what we've discovered
Yes.
is we're two women
Mhm.
of very similar age that have had somewhat similar experiences. And we are both in our own ways and through our own platforms trying to change the narrative that doesn't serve who we have been
Right.
so that we can become who we actually desire to be
Yes.
and influence the next generation, the next level of leadership so that this doesn't have to be the way that it's going to be forever.
Well, and I hope we also not just influence the next generation. I hope that we're affecting our current generation and the
Mhm.
generations that are still in the working space, because I think that's also really important. Because I think we're seeing this a lot with Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z is the most interesting little generation, and I will be fascinated to watch the flow,
Mm-hmm.
right? The things in the output
Yeah.
from there. Because I think millennials were really bagged on,
100%.
still bagged on.
Still bagged on.
But millennials have the most CEOs of any generation, right? And
Yep.
millennials were the first generation truly to say, I'm not doing it your way. This doesn't, it's not passing the sniff test. I'm going to do it different. Where Gen X and boomers are like, no, if I just keep hitting my head against this board, if I
Yep.
just
I
keep
swear to
hitting
God, it will
it's
work.
going to work and they're
Yeah.
going to recognize my value. Where Gen Z is just this little enigma that could, right? And it's just like coming up, and they're the most flexible. And I think probably because they are also the ones that like, we literally have nothing to lose because we have no things, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we can focus on the generations that are coming up and hopefully build a better landscape for them and help them think about life differently. But there are still people who are negatively affecting
The
Gen
workplace.
Xers,
Yep.
millennials,
Yep.
and Gen Z, and soon to be Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha.
It's going to be so interesting. We both have kids that are the same age. Both your kids are Gen Alpha, right?
No, my son is Gen
Gen Z.
Z, and my daughter she's not quite sure if she's, again, it's kind of like it's like Xennials, right?
Oh,
Where it's like,
they're on
where's
the
that?
cusp.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it should be really interesting to see like Gen Alpha come up
It's
as
going
well.
to be wild.
And they're almost in the working field.
I mean, they're within 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. So if we go back to imposter syndrome for a hot second, could you give us a little bit of a story or a teaser about where you recognized in your own career, like where this was really negatively affecting you and what it was actually doing to your performance, how you showed up, how you were feeling about yourself? Because I think, like you've alluded to, this is not something that most women bypass.
Yes.
Like most every single one of us is experiencing this at some level
Yeah.
in their job.
Yeah. I think about 12 years ago, I was with a company and I had had a really interesting experience. So I was hired to be over this program and I was hired to make sure that it was functioning and working. And the program that I inherited was very, very broken. It was very broken. It was never set up well, didn't have structure. And yet I was the one left holding the bag, right? Like I was the one who was responsible. And I was reporting to a C-suite individual. The department was dramatically underperforming, but not because they were underperforming because of the lack of rules and structures, which did help, but it was because of some larger business decisions that had been made, right? And that's customer support. Like,
Yep.
that's the way customer support works. They are rubbing two pennies together trying to get $100.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm pulled into a room and they're like, you are no longer reporting to a C-level person. You're reporting to a director. We're not raising your pay. We're not changing your title. And oh, and by the way, that annual raise you thought you were going to get, you don't get it.
Cute.
In fact, like behind the scenes, I found out that it was because there was another individual who was male who got my increase. So they had divvied out my increase and then just given it to somebody else, right? And in that moment, I'm like, do I belong here? Am I good at what I do? Can I do this? Right? Because I just witnessed this whole shift. And for the next 2 years, and at the time, and I make no bones about this, I hadn't ever finished college. I tend to do a lot of things through rage. So like,
We really need to find out your moon sign.
Yeah.
Like, I can't express enough how much we need to understand. I love that you love your Libra sun, but I swear to God, if rage is a theme, you're going to love to learn about your
we're
moon.
going to have to figure that out. The next week, I had enrolled in school because I had felt like my value, like I wasn't valuable enough without a degree, without these things, right? Because that's the story that I was being told. And so I did that through pure rage, and I finished very quickly through pure rage to get the education to feel like I was qualified to have a seat at the table, right? To be in. And I remember distinctly, I was done with this job. I was like, there's no place for me to go. There's no growth. There's nothing. And so I started interviewing with other companies and I was going to take a manager title. And I was like, no, I'm not taking a manager title. I'm taking a director title because that's the work I've been doing. That's my output. And that is what I've earned, right? And that was the moment when the imposter syndrome kind of like
What's the rage?
off.
The rage took over.
Yeah, the rage. Absolutely not. But that was really the turning point in my career. And that was the turning point for me to stop accepting what I was handed
Yes.
and start asking for what I felt I had earned. And you'll notice I don't use the word deserve because I don't like that word, because I think we use it so flippantly and we're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I deserve this. And it's like, no, I'm asking for what I earned.
Yeah.
And that was the switch.
Yeah. And I think what's just so interesting is many women, myself included, because I took my Microsoft position specifically a few years ago
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, I'm going to build my business and I'm going to finish my studies with some of the certifications that I've been working through and I'm going to just glide.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it was coming off leaving essentially a director, chief of staff type of role at Nordstrom in a ragey way
Mm-hmm.
and being like, I can just settle for less. I can just settle for less than what I deserve because I kind of screwed that up over there
Yep.
and I should pay for that.
Yep.
I should pay for that a little bit. And this is good enough for right now. Just on the top, if we were to talk about the financial part of it, I took about a $30,000 a year base pay cut and my bonus was probably about the same. So we're talking like not insignificant amount of money here.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is just serving a purpose. And I had convinced myself of that. It's
Yeah.
just serving a purpose. If I take more money than that, despite if I had earned that level and that knowledge and that experience and that expertise, that it's okay for me to take less. And as I look back on what that imposter syndrome, especially moving into an organization like Microsoft, which is, I mean, I think it's a top, like a Fortune 5, a Fortune 8. Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
Nordstrom at the time was a Fortune 200, and I was going up the rung to like a Fortune top 10, let's just say. And I'm not going to go look that up. But you know what I'm saying here? It's like, oh, I was a much smaller fish in a much bigger pond.
Yes.
So, of course, I should settle for less.
Yes.
Looking back as I've thought about stepping into entrepreneurship and being a founder and a CEO, I recognize what it did to my level of imposter syndrome about
Yes.
what I thought I had earned
Yes.
in terms of my knowledge and expertise and the value that I bring, both from a business acumen sense to my clients, because I have, like you, a vast background,
Mm-hmm.
and then how that contributes to all the other skills I've developed over the last 6 years. And I would imagine that a lot of women listening to this right now are like, yeah, like I'm also a corporate baddie. I can kick ass, I can take names, and I'm still willing to take less than I have earned
Mm-hmm.
and or feel that I deserve because it might be both for them.
Yes.
And in my opinion now that is tragic.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
It really is. I don't mean to make this gendered because on one level, I think it is very much a gendered conversation. And on another, I think what this podcast is meant to do is to highlight the opportunity so that we can change the narrative, so that we can change the way things work. But I would say that a man isn't going to take 3 steps back unless maybe it's this job market, right? Like this job market is a different beast.
Yep.
But let's say 5 years ago, a man's not going to be going like, oh, I'll just go take a manager position after I've been a director. He's like, go fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm going to go find another job. You don't deserve to have me in your organization.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really important to name the thing.
Yeah.
Right? To name the thing. And it's so important for us to be able to say, listen, gender still is part of the conversation
Yeah.
on this. And it is. It's just factual.
Mhm.
It's just factual. And the data shows that that is true. Like we're not fake newsing it or calling something that it isn't. This is data. This is factual. This is so important that we understand that it commonly affects women more than men. And it affects women in higher positions of power more than men. And it's because truthfully, as women, we are not allowed to have ego.
Yep, that's right. They have tried to program that out of us. And anytime that we are perceived as having ego, we're usually called bitches. We're usually
Difficult.
called difficult, aggressive.
Not approachable. That's what I get the most.
Oh, my favorite is intimidating.
Since I was 3 years old. People have said that to me since I was 3.
I'm like,
Damn
what?
straight.
What are you talking about?
Right?
I had someone who I used to work like 3 desks over from. He was probably at the time like, I'm going to go early 60s accountant type dude.
Mm-hmm.
Really kind human. And he's like, Lauren, you are just so intimidating. And I looked at him and it was almost like telling me that I spoke a different language, like I had blue hair. What are you talking about? Because to me, I'm like, I come to work, I try to be friendly, I try to be approachable, I try to be supportive, I try to be collaborative. And all you got is intimidating.
Yeah.
That's rich.
Yeah.
So it's interesting and confusing. And this was something we talked about in our warm up, that it's really confusing then to be told not to have an ego,
Yep.
to be told to be a little bit quieter, to be told not to step into bigger spaces, and then to turn around and want more for yourself
Yeah.
and feel like you don't know how to get that.
Well, and to feel like, again, that you haven't earned it.
Right.
Right. And it's, again, because that's the conversation being.
Mm-hmm.
I hear stories all of the time about women where, I can tell another story, same company, interestingly enough, where my role was shifting a little bit and I was going to do some international travel. And I was so excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first time that my work was going to pay me to do international travel. And I got to go to Ireland, which is the most
Epic.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's on so many people's bucket list, and
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay for it. And that was amazing. And I was having a conversation with the CEO, and he's like, "Well, I know you have young kids. Is
Cute.
that going to be a thing that you can do? Because, I know you have young kids." And I wanted in that moment to be like, do you ask all of the men around here who have, by the way, also in this company, every single one of the female leaders had their diplomas, like all of their impressive awards displayed in their offices,
Uh-huh.
where all of the men had all of their family pictures up.
And maybe the fish picture.
Oh, yeah. So they have all of those things up. And it's just like, that we work with a ton of people who are young parents.
Yeah.
And are you asking them question? And again, that's where we question and we are like, am I allowed to have this? Should I be doing this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Is this my role?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, like, how do I play small? How do I how do I be more collaborative, or how do I cooperate more? Or do I make myself approachable? And I think that again those are all signs of kind of that imposter syndrome of like,
Yeah.
you have to do these things because you don't deserve to be at the table. You don't deserve to make the salary that you make. You don't deserve any.
Right. And this system is actually designed intentionally to
Yes.
make you prove yourself 10 times over,
100%.
especially now. And I
Yes.
think you would agree with me based on when we entered the workforce and today's experience is if you just followed the playbook of, hey, you're in this role, look at the next role. What are the qualifications? What do you need to demonstrate? How do you need to achieve? Cool. Willing to go do that, willing to put in the reps, willing to figure it out, willing to go above and beyond. Most definitely for at least 6 months, but
Yep.
in today's world, it's like 3 years,
Ugh.
depending on what
Yes.
organization you're in. Soft. But now it's like that doesn't actually even matter anymore.
No.
And so the playbook that when we entered the workforce of like work hard, do the thing, have the outcome, it doesn't apply to these new generations in this model of work, which makes imposter syndrome actually worse, in my opinion, because now you can't even follow the rubric
Yeah.
to get to the other side to be like, look, I have all this evidence. And so what that then creates is a whole bunch of resentment that I have shown up. I have gone above and beyond. I have been over collaborative. I have, and I still don't have the thing that I want. So how do we solve that, Lynda? I mean, no pressure.
No pressure.
It's a new year, new rules. Like, how do we take this and turn this in to how we want to apply this approach going into the year ahead? Because a lot of people listening to this are thinking about their next step. They're like, oh, I have a goal for my next level of leadership or whatever. And what I really desire for us to give them today is a tool to say, hey, I can think about this differently.
Yep.
And it can serve me.
So first and foremost, I think it's about naming it, right? Having a conversation with yourself. Those are the best conversations, by the way. I am hilarious. But it's about having a conversation with yourself and naming the thing. And I think that what some people might guide you to do is to run away from it. Okay, now you have to shut it down. You have to do the things. You have to just run away from the imposter syndrome. here's my corporate term, but kind of lean into it a little bit. Okay. So, yeah, this is the thing. And I do feel like I was in the right place at the right time, or I do feel like I was just lucky, or I do feel these things. Okay, that's cool. How can we flip it and turn that to our advantage?
Yep.
And that's where we are breaking the cycle.
Yep.
Truthfully, we're breaking the cycle that way
I
because
agree.
we're saying, how can I take advantage of this? If I was lucky, amazing. Why was I lucky?
What's the evidence procedure? 100%. I think what's great about both of our backgrounds is we are highly operational and strategic in that way. And we're going to create the system that's going to give you the output that you want, regardless of what industry or process you need us. I feel
Yes.
like we share that. And I fully agree with you because women like us and who are continuing to climb the ladder are trying to build a case. And part of that case is of self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of spirituality out there that wants to tell you to go have an ego death.
Yeah.
And what happens when you try and go have an ego death, but then try to avoid the imposter syndrome? Like, that's going to get you in a bind
Oh, you're
really
gonna
fucking fast.
You're gonna spiral on like the grandest level.
Yeah.
I would want a ticket to that show.
I would also like one, but we're here to tell you don't actually have to
You
subscribe.
don't have to, but I would like to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. I don't like to watch people spiral. I like to watch people succeed. So again, I think that if we name it and then we can back into it and we can back into that way of thinking, like, why do I believe that I was lucky?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I believe that I was lucky because I answered all the interview questions correctly. Okay, well, why did you answer? Oh, because I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe I wasn't so lucky.
Yeah.
Or, why did I answer the interview questions correctly? Well, because at my last role, I did X, Y, and Z, which set me up to do X, Y, and Z here. Oh, so you mean you put in the work?
Right.
You did the things
Right.
that you needed to do in order to gain that next space. And that's where I think we can really debunk the imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think if you lean into it, we're in such a weird space and such a weird age. And we talked a little bit about this in an offline conversation about how we get so trapped in our way of thinking, or we get so trapped in our identity or our reality or whatever, right? And so one of those things that's almost like a shock to the system is, okay, so let's embrace that for a minute. Let's say yes to that thing. And then we can look around and go, oh, but I'm not actually currently in that situation.
Yep.
I'm not currently in that reality.
Yep.
And this is how I make the shift.
Yep.
Right. That's why I say embrace it. Allow yourself to feel the feelings. But also, if you continue to say, no, I'm not feeling those feelings, you're not being true to your reality. So
100%.
embrace it.
So the imposter syndrome, and what I hear you saying is when you Sheryl Sandberg it and lean in, which for the record, this is the only place where we're leaning in because I have a nit to pick with Miss Sheryl Sandberg.
Do it.
But we can talk about that at another
It's
time.
fine. Episode 47.
Well, I mean, she kind of made all the tech bros lean in and then took advantage of the lean in. And now is like, all the tech bros shouldn't be leaning in and you're taking advantage of people. And I'm like, sis, you created this system. You can't sit here and throw rocks at it now. But I digress. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Leaning in, but we're not really leaning in, but we're leaning in.
Oh, but we're on autopilot.
Yes.
So imposter syndrome actually becomes an autopilot response.
Yes.
Because we're used to experiencing that day to day, in and out. We're questioning our ego. We're questioning our worth. We're questioning our value. We're questioning our contribution. We're trying to look for evidence that we should succeed. And we're coming up empty-handed going, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Why am I here? How am I supposed to make all this work?
Yeah.
And so it's essentially, at the end of the day, an evidence procedure.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And so that level of awareness, whether you're talking about imposter syndrome or literally any other part of your life that you want to change, is step one to establishing a rule that you're actually going to make work for your life.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a cycle breaker. That's really what it is, right?
But this is how change happens. And instead of hating ourselves through it and being like, how dare I? Why didn't I know that? And we talked about this a little in the car because you were like, hey girl, like, I don't want to fuck this up for you. Like, I don't want you to be disappointed. I'm like, there's nothing you can fuck up here. But what's interesting is like, even that thought is like, well, how much value am I really going to bring to this conversation? And I'm not saying that that's exactly what you thought, but it could have been something like that where you're like, wow, I had the gumption and the grit to be like, hey, Lauren, I want to be on your show. And hey, Lauren, by the way, like, let's double down. And because I have 8,000,000 Delta miles,
Yep.
I'm also going to fly to Seattle for the day.
Yep.
And then I'm going to say, hey, girl, are you sure I'm going to bring value to your show? And I think that is, and I hope that feels like loving support, but I do think that this is what we are all struggling with when we're talking about our next level of evolution and expansion and identity, whether you're trying to become a CMO into a CFO or a CEO, you're trying to become a senior director to a VP. And we're like, wait, I've done all these other things. I've checked all these other boxes.
Mhm.
And yet I'm still arriving going, oh, wait, is this real?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you.
It's a real mind fuck.
It really is.
Mhm.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, and I think that even, you and I have had really transparent conversations about my growth through my social media journey. And there are still mornings where I wake up and I'm like, what do I even do?
What am I going to say today?
Like, and does it matter?
Mhm.
And am I really qualified to say these things? Right. And even sometimes when I hop on a client call with a new client, I'm like, am I even going to be able to comprehend their situation, or am I even qualified to guide them through? And then about 3 minutes in, I already know exactly what the problem is, what they need to do,
Right.
and like how to
You're like,
guide them
here's your
through it.
homework.
I know. And I'll say like, well, I think your boss is doing this. And they're like, how did you even know? And I'm
I'm a witch. I'm a witch. This reminds me of a reel I saw within the last probably 18 months that was like, I name that person in my head that's telling me all these evil things. I think of it as a chief expansion officer, a self-proclaimed chief expansion officer, as like the asshole sitting at the boardroom of life, holding the sign that's like, you can't do it.
yes.
And I'm like, tell that guy to leave. Like,
Is his name Glenn? Because
probably.
it feels like his name is Glenn.
It could be Glenn. I mean, there could be a lot of names. I have a couple
No,
of,
his name's Thaddeus. His name is absolutely Thaddeus.
but I think that when you start naming it, like you're saying, and being like, oh, whatever analogy you use, and I think the person on Reels was like, oh yeah, I just call her Betty, and I tell that bitch to leave. And I'm like, or you could visualize somebody sitting at the boardroom of your life going, I'm here to take you down. Repeating that thought of, oh, this isn't real. This is a pattern. This is an ingrained. And as someone who has learned a lot about the subconscious mind, there's some programming that's gone in behind the scenes that has created Glenn or Thaddeus or Betty that is running the show 95% of the time that you're not aware of.
Yes.
So it's not surprising that we all feel the way that we do, because some of that's societal programming. Some of that comes from having narcissistic parents. Some of that comes from all types of things. And we question why we have that. And yet there's a very natural reason for it.
Yeah. And I think, and one thing to kind of note is when in women specifically that feel imposter syndrome, they tend to be high achieving experts in their field, right? They're not just some schlum. They are somebody who is educated and understands what's going on. And they are the people who are often the most affected through this. And it's because of all of the things that you said, right? And that's where it's just, it boggles our mind where we're like, why would you even question if you're good enough? And that's, again, where the system, I think, is really just like bogging
100%.
people down. And I think the system is doing this because out of desperation and out of need, right? Doesn't mean it's right. But I do think, because I think so many people will be like, why would anybody want somebody to feel that way? Why would anyone do the thing? And it's because if we understood our worth, if we understood like what to ask for, if we felt that we could do those things, nobody could afford us.
Right. Or only the right people. And I think this is where, and I have struggled with this, articulating my value and how I do what I do and bring what I like. It is difficult. And part of that is 100% imposter syndrome.
Yep.
But am I giving up? Hell to the no.
I would like to say no.
I'm not. I just know that I'm not. And I think what is just the last piece, and then I had an idea I want to float by you just because that's how my intuitive brain works. The last piece here is they always say, oh, your best friend wouldn't say that to you. And I do think that part of growing into this part of yourself that's going to rewrite this rule and allow this version of you to be messy and accept that piece so that you recognize it so that you can move forward is just learning how to be kind to yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And so my idea, if you're down, and I think we'll record this as like a little bonus.
Okay, I'm like looking at the camera.
I
Like,
know,
I'm gonna
get
make
ready,
sure.
get ready. I think we should record a pep talk. Like, hey girl, this is Lauren and Lynda.
Yes.
And we know that you're struggling. This is the tool to rewrite the rule so that if somebody needs a phone a friend, they're like, I have it. Like, I have them in my pocket.
Oh my goodness, a pep talk.
What do you think about it? Are you down?
Always.
And kind of in our Zennial leadership, we want you out there to succeed.
Yes.
It kind of brings also to mind this TikTok that I saw with this mom and this kid who they were doing one word at a time and they would go back and forth and just make it totally hilarious. But
Oh my goodness, we could do that with like corporate buzzwords.
we totally could. Let's do an outtake or a blooper on that. But I just like, thanks for phoning a friend. It's, hey girl, imposter syndrome is for real.
Yep.
Great job at recognizing it. What's your line? Let's each go line by line and then we'll just build kind of almost a haiku of sorts.
What would I say? I would probably say congratulations on taking a minute to identify that something is not right.
Right. And that signal is actually showing you your divinity. And you seeing that allows you to reclaim your sovereignty.
And now is a moment for you to take a beat, take a breath, and make a decision. And it gets to be a decision that is intentional. You're not giving a knee-jerk reaction. You're not doing the thing that everybody expects you to do.
Mm.
You are choosing to make an intentional choice to do something different.
Because when you see that, you're opening the door to change and possibility that things can be different. And that's what you're really craving in this time, in this space, is that you know that you are meant for more, that you were built for more, that you can have more and hold more. And yet this thought about self-sabotage and truly at the core of it, self-abandonment, is the thing that's been undermining you in a way that hasn't felt like self-preservation, but instead something that just keeps holding you back.
And this is the moment where you allow, even though you're moving through this decision, this change intention, you get to tap into that pure, raw emotion, whether it's this idea to leave your job or to change your space or do the thing, right? You get to lean into that spark, that true emotional space, but then you get to lean into your logical brain as well to make an intentional, big shift.
Mm-hmm. And so I want you to name it. Name the thing that hasn't been serving you.
Yes.
And then I want you to reframe it. How can you take that thing and say it in a way that future you would say it? She's already accomplished the next level of success that you're looking for. She's already claimed the version of yourself that you feel like you're striving to become. How does she say it back to you in this moment so that you can take that piece with you right here, right now? Go with your bad self. We are cheering you on. Thank you for being here. Thank you for using this tool. We will be here whenever you need us.
And go fuck shit up.
And go fuck shit up. Amen.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was brilliant. Did you love it?
Yeah.
Lynda,
Yes.
new year, new rules.
Mhm.
Let's hear the restatement of the rule so that everybody's on the same page as we go into the rest of the year, because for the love of Christ, it's only the 6th of January today.
So the new rule is we're not running from it. I'm going to look right here.
Yeah, look them straight in the eye.
We are no longer running from this thing, which is what we've been guided to do. It's put it down, right? As my daughter would say, put it down. We're not doing that. We're picking it up. We're leaning in. We're analyzing it. And then we are deciding how we go forward. That is the.
Yep. And we're allowing the confusion We are allowing the discomfort. What's the other word that you use?
I say you have to be uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
And I said back to her, hey, that level of confusion actually means you're learning, because high achieving women, all we want to do is fucking know everything and be relied on for everything. So imagine why then we all feel imposter syndrome to the T.
Because
It
we
all
feel
makes sense.
expected to know those things too,
Exactly.
right?
And the vulnerability of being like, hey, girl, I don't know. Let me look that up. Feels like I would rather rage quit my job, blow up all my shit, and think that, I am not capable of anything than have to admit that I don't know something.
Yes. And most importantly, when you did do that rage quit and you did blow everything up, also lost that sweet, sweet discount at Nordstrom.
Oh my God.
And that, I think, is the biggest loss of all of it.
But I still have like over 30 pairs of shoes, some of which I wore today. I wore my
I
Italian
love those
shoes.
shoes.
And most Nordstrom employees, actually, these are AGLs. This was my first pair, and they're Italian made and very comfortable, highly recommend. And I did lose the discount, but you know what? The discount was actually pretty toxic for me, because I would sit and doom scroll at night.
Oh.
And I would just shop because my cortisol and the stress and the dopamine. And so my wonderful husband, actually my wonderful mother, who was watching our child day to day in and out of all the things, UPS would come to the door nearly every single day. And she's like, what did you order today? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like Christmas.
Every day.
Every day. Every day. And so while, yes, I did have an Amazing House 33 discount, and sometimes that was 40%, it also like didn't serve. But it does chap my hide a little to walk in the store today and be like,
full price. Yeah.
my employee number is 101. Blah, blah, blah.
I will tell you that I never hit that 33. I only got the 20. And so I think that for me, the 20 made me feel less than.
Yeah.
Because I was never customer service all-star. So I never got that sweet, sweet 33.
I'm sorry.
But it also maybe made it a little easier to walk away, and it's a little closer to full price. So
it is a little closer to full
less
price.
painful.
I think what's interesting about being a former Nordstrom employee, and before we go too much further, what part of the org did you work in? Were you on the floor?
I was on the floor. I started in women's activewear.
Oh my, Zella.
Yeah, and then went from women's active to BP.
Oh, okay.
And then landed in cosmetics.
Okay. Which one?
So I worked for a brand called Stila.
Mm-hmm.
And for everybody on TikTok and in the world that call it Stila, I do go into their comments.
I do educate them on this
if
very.
you're going to be a brand ambassador, could you say it right?
Amen.
So I worked.
Are they still around?
Stila is still around.
I don't think I've seen them in Nordstrom. I mean, obviously I don't go in a ton anymore, but I don't.
They were in and out. I know they're very prominent at Ulta. And they might still be at Sephora, and then of course on TikTok.
Okay. So the thing about being a Nordstrom employee that most people don't know is we are actually programmed. There are videos within the organization as an onboarding exercise to engage customers on the floor.
Yes.
And I didn't even know that this was a thing that existed before joining the company, because I don't know if you know how I actually got that job. Okay. So I was in medical device manufacturing for years, auditor for compliance and the FDA and all that jazz. I also worked in pharmaceutical manufacturing. So think about it as recipes to make drugs that were legal. Okay. Highly controlled, highly repeatable process. That's where a lot of my truly understanding of business architecture came into play. And a friend of mine, in fact, the company that I worked at nearly across the street from where we're recording this, it was called Dendrion. I was a quality assurance associate there, manager, like pretty mid in my career, no leadership yet. It was so corrupt. Oh my God, they were lying through it was insane. I don't mean to speak ill. I know that that's not what we do here on Corporate Fuckery, but it was insane. And one of my former coworkers got a job in Nordstrom within essentially like the metrics office of technology. Now, this was like 2013 that she probably joined, and she's a little bit older than we are. And she and I ended up having coffee. We always had like some sort of little connection. And she's like, you should come work here. You would love it. Oh my God, you would love it. And I'm like,
Mm.
ain't no way. You want to talk about imposter syndrome? Like, we should have started the whole fucking episode with this story. So I was like, I don't know about this. And she's very like overt and like in your face and like, no, just do it this way and you'll get what you want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. She's like, here's the hiring manager's email address. I want you to send her a calendar invite and invite her for coffee.
I love this person. I want to hang out with her.
What's interesting is we ended up at Microsoft at the same time together, and we ran into each other in the bathroom about a year ago, having no idea that we even worked in the same building.
Wow.
And there's probably 50 Microsoft buildings, so how we ended up in the same bathroom in the same parts of the organization will forever astound me.
Yes.
So I do what she says, and I'm like intimidated as. And I don't really feel like I get that intimidated. Like I might have imposter syndrome, but I'm always going to let my confidence shine through, which is refer to feeling like I am intimidating to others, whatever.
Yeah.
So I do it. And here's my wonderful soon to be new manager, Kristen. And we're just down the street and we're having coffee. And she's like, well, why do you want a job here? And so we go through all the rigmarole. I answer all the questions and she's like, well, you don't have any tech experience. And I didn't at that time. Like, you need to understand that the way the FDA, and I don't know how it does it today, because holy shit, technology would be very hard for the FDA to get its mind around. Like, they were dictating whether or not you could use blue or black pen and how you adjusted typos on documentation.
Wow.
Like, it is tight.
Yeah.
I don't know what I said. I mean, I was dressed to the nines. I had the good shoes. I had the nice jacket. We had a great coffee chat. She's a lovely person. I still keep in touch with her today because we used to run into each other at the airport all the time. And she's like, I'd love to have an interview with you. And I was like, oh, okay. So the interview gets scheduled, and I'll never forget how I mentally prepared for this interview. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to do my normal. And this is, again, even 10 years ago, I feel like getting a job was a much different game than it is today. Like night and day different.
Yes.
And so I like hyped myself up. I got all my stuff ready to go, like yada, yada. I show up and it's a panel interview with essentially the whole team.
Oh boy.
And it's Kristen, this hiring manager, and I think 3 people, at least 2 others. And we're in this crazy ass room.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the size of this room, which is probably like a 14 by 14, maybe 12 by 12. Like, it's not huge. Yeah. And like most tech spaces are, it's like kind of schleppy. Like, it's where people are whiteboarding.
Smells like Fritos.
Smells like Fritos. There's like a golf thing, like a little practice tee. There's an Xbox around the corner because that's what all the tech dudes do in their free time. And 2 of the women are older. One of them proceeds to fall asleep while I'm trying to answer the question. Okay. And I'm like doing my best to fake it till I make it. And like, yeah. And I wasn't sure, normally, and this is what I loved about my dad, because he was a recruiter for 25 years in the motor industry. He always knew how to, he's like, Lauren, like, you can interview with the best of them. Like, this isn't something you're going to fuck up. Yeah. But walking out of there and being like, I don't have any tech background. I have a lot of process background. I have a lot of essentially like business architecture background. I have a lot of data background, but I've never worked in this space before. I do not know what stars aligned for that to ever work out. I was fully expecting a hard pass. Oh, and by the way, I had already taken another role at another company and accepted and was supposed to start in like a hot second.
Wow. It
was a $65,000 a year role. And it was essentially for like eye transplants and cornea transplants. And I mean, it was very radically different from Nordstrom Technology.
Yes.
The hiring director, my manager, skip level, was off the day. She didn't get to interview me. She was supposed to interview me on the phone the next day, never got to it. I was like, well, I'm out. If she can't interview me, like, they're going to just go with someone else. For whatever reason, the stars aligned. They called me, they offered me the job, and I will never forget screaming in the garage going, oh my God, I can't fucking believe that just happened. What is going on? And from that moment in, I was in the Kool-Aid. I was like, this is the best job I've ever had. oh my God, they picked me. Like, oh my God, I will do whatever it takes. And so fast forward, I did whatever it took. I kicked ass and took names. I got a promotion every 18 months. I got 100% plus bonus year over year. I mean, I was willing to sacrifice every fiber of my being. And that's what led me to adrenal crisis. That's what led me to severe depression. That's what led me to rage quitting my job, because what I ended up doing in 2019 wasn't just, oh, somebody touched me and then retaliated against me.
Yeah.
It was, I subscribed hard. I drank all the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
I did all the things. I sacrificed parts of my being that would not be reclaimed, up to and including not having a second baby.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm going out? Cool.
Okay, so let's do your exercise.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do your exercise.
Our exercise.
What would future Lauren,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even today Lauren,
Mm-hmm.
say to the Lauren screaming in the garage,
Mm-hmm.
how did this happen? What would that Lauren say to shake her out of that imposter syndrome? Because really, like, if we're going to unpack this a little bit, and we just told people we're not going to talk about, oh, I was lucky, or the stars aligned, or we did these things. Let's talk about that moment, or let's talk about what really got you the job.
Mm-hmm.
So what would Lauren say to the Lauren who's in the garage going, how did this fucking happen?
Mm-hmm.
Who was excited, right?
Oh my God, she was so ecstatic. And she was like, when can I use this discount? Because I used to walk up to Nordstrom Shoe with my girlfriend. Like when I worked at I've worked at so many companies in the greater Seattle area. I would walk up there. The guys in the shoe department would know us. You guys want a job here? And we're like, no, we have jobs.
Like,
Thank
I'm
you.
not going to
My
be a shoe
job
dog.
is.
I'm not a shoe dog. That's what they're called, by the way.
They are.
They're
They are
called
called
shoe
shoe dogs. They 100% are called. I love that you worked at Nordstrom. Oh my God. Anyway, today Lauren would say, buckle up, girl. The wild ride. It is a starting. And I'm not going to tell you how it's all going down, because there are lessons here
Yep.
that are part of the fabric of who you are becoming, that you are going to look back. And Lynda, I'm not lying when I tell you, I would do the whole thing over. If I had to choose, I would do it all over again. I would feel every emotion I had to feel, every heartbreak, every triumph, every level of success. I would do it all again to learn what I learned.
I love that. I love that. So yes, you want to feel all of the things, you want to do the things. But when somebody is questioning, why did I get here? How did I get to this thing?
Mm-hmm.
My question to you is, yes, you want her to do the things because you want to be where you're at today, right? But what would you say to help diminish that moment of, I am not qualified to be?
Mm-hmm.
What's the thing that you would say to give that Lauren peace and to set her up for success?
You're not being given what isn't meant for you. You're not being given choices or opportunities or options that aren't totally destined for where you're supposed to go.
Would you also add in, and you earned this
Yes.
through all of the other things
Yes.
that you've seen and done and tried?
Yes. And it's like, yes, and that was always a Nordstrom thing too, right? Like it was always yes, and, never yes, but it was always yes, and yes. And I need you to trust that it's all going to turn out better than you can expect. And that this is what this is really showing you is a story that you're telling yourself. Because that's what it comes down to.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome is a story that we're telling ourselves. And the way that our brain does that, just from a subconscious perspective, is it takes all this data, just like AI, and it's almost like our subconscious should have the same byline that says may not be accurate results.
I make mistakes sometimes.
Yes, it distorts it, and then it kicks out some story that is actually, it was never meant to show you that. It was never meant to be that, and somehow it turns into that. And then because we're trying to keep ourselves safe and in a lane that we think is built for us, we just keep reinforcing that and looking for that evidence.
Yep. Okay.
Well, thanks for being the interviewer today, Lynda.
Oh,
How'd you like my story, boo?
I liked it.
Did you? Thanks for flying all the way to Seattle.
I'm so happy to be here.
I just appreciate you. Congratulations on all of your success in 2025. I can't wait to see where you go in 2026. And I'm so blessed that the universe brought us together.
Thank you. And I feel very, very fortunate that we are connected and we have this new friendship and that you tolerate all of my sarcasm.
I mean, and same.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. If you take one thing from today, let it be this. Imposter syndrome is not a personality trait. It's a pattern, a story your nervous system learned to tell to keep you compliant, likable, and grateful, even when you're underpaid, overlooked, or carrying a role you didn't sign up for. And the new rule, starting right now, is simple. We don't run from it. We pick it up, we examine it, and we use it as data. Because if you're questioning whether you belong in the room and you're already in the room, the problem isn't your capability. The problem is the conditioning. So here's your new year, new rule assignment. Number 1, name it. What's the exact thought? I'm lucky, I'm not ready, they're going to figure me out. Number 2, find the receipts. What have you earned that you kept calling timing? Number 3, decide on the next move like future you is already watching, not like your inner Thaddeus is running HR. And if today it lit a fire under you, good. That's not chaos, that's clarity with a pulse. Lynda, thank you for flying to Seattle and bringing the corporate baddie energy in person. I am obsessed. And to everyone listening, you're not behind, you're just done playing by rules that were built to keep you small. Season 3 is going to continue the conversation because we are not negotiating old programming anymore, and that doesn't mean we have to blow shit up in the process. If you love this episode, share it with the woman who needs a reminder that she's not too much. She's just likely not seeing her full essence and what her potential actually is. If you're ready to rewrite your own rules with support, you know where to find me. See you next week.